Who knows?
That's what
Maybe
we're
the autopsy will show poison in the system. Who knows?
All right. Okay. It appears that the attempt by the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, to call others to arm against Bola Tinubu over his academic record is not getting the support he envisaged. The new Nigerian People's Party, NNPP, has declared its intention to remain neutral in the saga. The NNPP said it is more concerned with issues associated with the party and will allow the courts to carry out its constitutional duty of deciding the case. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar had a press conference on Thursday, and in that press conference, he called on Labour Party and NNPP. He mentioned the names of the candidates to come together so that they support him on what seemed to be the last onslaught against Bola Tinubu at the Supreme Court. With the mind, because, you know, when you were saying it with finality on Thursday, I went back home. I went to go and research for my constituency, and I discovered that I don't know the parts Atiku Abubakar want to do in this one. And, you know, yes, he has found something fresh to the Supreme Court. How he wants to do it, how the Supreme Court is going to come to his aid, is what I don't know. But I was confused on Thursday when you were saying, as a note of finality, till I spoke to everybody and they said, look, there's no room for this. So I don't know what is behind Atiku Abubakar's optimism.
I don't know too, but in my view, lawyers are to blame for some of this, because it's lawyers who give them encouragement. And Nigerian lawyers, because they want to take money from you, they throw decorum to the wind.
They abuse the process.
Remember a lawyer going all the way to Kudu to file a matter about Anambra State. Kudu in Jigawa State. That's the local government of, you know, the former governor of the state, Ali Saad Kudu. He was the tallest governor of his generation. Ali Saad Kudu, and I think was also the youngest at that time. He went there on forum shopping. Lawyers would not tell their client the truth because they are after the money. You know, they're after the money, and everyone knows that election time is boom time for lawyers. The kind of money that lawyers make from election-related litigation, my God, it's not small money.
It's not.
It's not small money. Hundreds of millions. Yeah. It runs into hundreds of millions for one case. You know, depending on the lawyer you are hiring. Those of them who are very expensive to hire, the Olanekwekuns of this world.
Those are the,
you know, some of the lawyers.
Elites. Class. You know? Top range.
The Zinyons.
Yes, yes, yeah.
It's not my mind to hire them. To hire them, look, you must be ready to pay good money. They will keep encouraging you. And the Nigerian politician is the most optimistic Homo sapien that I've ever known.
Tired.
Tired.
That
is why, you know, I said something during the week that even getting the Supreme Court to reverse itself, the Nigerian politician and the lawyers who goad them will not tell them that no, the Supreme Court cannot reverse itself. Whereas the Constitution does not permit the Supreme Court to reverse itself. They will tell you no, the Supreme Court can reverse itself.
So instances.
No. I mean, which instances can they cite? Which instances? For example, how many instances can people cite? And I said it here on Friday. A lot of people will say, Supreme Court can actually accept fresh evidence. In an electoral matter, how many of such instances can lawyers cite? Let's ask them to cite now. In an electoral matter, Supreme Court accepting fresh evidence, they should tell us how many times it has happened. When you ask that question from somebody who trained as a lawyer, you see that he will keep quiet. Keeping quiet is deliberate because he does not know what to tell you. Well, as journalists, our duty is to ask questions. Okay, you said, oh, in this kind of circumstances, How many times can you recall that Supreme Court decided to accept fresh evidence? Can you tell me? You see that the argument will end there. Because there are certain things that have not happened. You know? So Atiku is trying to make it look like, oh, the other parties that contested the election, they all feel this the way that I feel. Meanwhile, it's his personal agenda that he's pursuing. But those people know that it's his personal ambition. That's why you see the NNPP man saying, well, we are not interested.
Why you maintain your lead?
Let the courts. NNPP did not challenge Tinubu's electoral victory.
They didn't go to court.
They are not there. It is the little known APM, Egbe Onipaki, that decided to join Peter Obi and Atiku.
I don't think if they won any seats, significant seats in the
I don't know. It's Egbe Onipaki. You know, if not, when the governor,
I'm looking for their rep or their senator.
When the governor of Ogun State at that time, when they decided to do anti-party,
yes,
that was how we got to know Egbe Onipaki now. We didn't know Egbe Onipaki until the man decided to do anti-party and brought you know. So NNPP refused to join the matter at that time. They left it to God. Now you want to bring them in. You want people to feel, is what the Yorubas call Awanekunra. Ale Nimadenyi is looking for Awanekunra. Ale Nimadenyi is the one who continues to pursue you no matter all the entreaties. Even if you are going into the lion's den, he will still run after you into the lion's den. But the one thing is certain. The law is the law. And we've had the CGN say, look, we will not decide, judgments will not be based on public opinion. So whatever we are saying now, is Ariwoja to the judges. They will follow the law. And that's the way it should be. Not, they won't be influenced by what some individuals, the noisy minority, the ex-dwellers. I call them ex-dwellers because some people, every minute of the day, they hardly even have rest. That is where they live. They live and die for Twitter. Because it affords them the opportunity to abuse people that they are not good enough to lace their boots.
Abuse,
you
Mr.
know,
President.
social climbers, the people that we call social climbers, people who by nature, they see themselves as lowly. They already rank themselves too low to confront you one-to-one. So they go and sit on social media and abuse people because that is the only place where they can feel like, they can feel that they belong. Ah, yes, we too, we have some power. So that is where a good number of the noisy minority.
I remember one.
That is where they are.
On one of our sister TV stations, he went ahead to call Mr. President a career criminal. Social affairs commentator, and people were looking at him in that studio.
Ayo, you know, it's a good thing that we are in a country where there is the rule of law.
I was
rule of law.
Shocked.
I remember I was in South Africa. I was in Durban, South Africa. And we were discussing problems facing the media, how governments attack the media, repel the media, and try to get in the way of the media doing its work. Additional, former editor of The Guardian, represented Daily. Is it Daily? Debo,
sorry.
Debo. He represented Nigeria on that panel. You know, he's a very brilliant journalist, so we are proud of him, the way he represented us. I was watching. When it was time for Nigeria to talk, and those of us even in the crowd, we had little or nothing to say. If you hear what governments do to journalists in other countries, journalists are killed in countries like Eritrea, Ethiopia, and when they were telling their story, I say, wow, wow, we are enjoying Nigeria. Can somebody, even in his most drunken state, go on air in Rwanda and call Kagame a career criminal? You will go missing. You will go missing, I'm telling you. Or you go to Eritrea, they will try you with their new anti-terrorism law. As a journalist, they will put you on trial with their new anti-terrorism law.
Of freedom of speech?
I said when it came to Nigerian journalists, we had nothing to say. Then you see Debo, ask Debo this. We had nothing to say. Even some of the countries not far away from us, you dare not publish just what you like. Either other people will take your life, or the government will come for you, or you go missing. They were telling different stories with facts and figures. I just felt that God, we really don't know what we have. That is the difference between the military rule and civilian rule. Nobody had the guts to come on air to abuse Abacha in that manner. Yet people got missing. We lost our friends. Till today, we didn't see Bagada Kalto's body. He just disappeared. And it wasn't even the president that he offended. It wasn't the president. He didn't do a story about the president. The story was even about the police. And he went missing. We never saw his remains till today. He was running from one point to another. We came to Lagos together and we went to meet Mr. Basa, our GM. We said, please, give us money. We want to leave this town. They had just come to look for me at our office because I wrote the cover story for that week. Is that cover story that eventually sent my editor to jail. So we said, look, we want to go. He said, oh, Bagada, go to Abuja and stay. And he called me, said, he had changed his name. He changed his name to Yakubu Yana. But they still... So he said, Jide, if I go to this Abuja, I'll be dead. I said, what do you do now? In Kaduna, where you are, the DSS, they are looking for you. Where do you go? Your friends in the DSS, they've turned against you. Because he used to value the friendship of the DSS. Sometimes you get information and all that. That was one of the reasons he was a great journalist. But the moment they turned against him, nowhere to hide. So this thing that you said is just testament to the level of freedom that we enjoy here. And I double dare some of the people who enjoy going on TV to abuse our president. Let them find out. They disparage Nigeria, make it look like Nigeria is a place that human beings don't deserve to live in. But the freedoms that they enjoy, having failed in their respective professions, the freedom that they enjoy to just open their mouth on TV, they dare not try to express such freedom in some African countries. They dare not. You go missing.
Now that Atiku is now looking for people that will sympathize with him in his sojourn to the Supreme Court, the case in the US actually generated a lot of attention, and this week it dominated the
media space.
Completely. So ultimately now he has seen that loophole and was able to catch in on that August 5 window. That's the deadline for doing whatever you want to do in the Supreme Court before the verdict.
Well, today I took my time to look at what lawyers have been saying. Two of them. Kayode Oladele was in the House of Reps and who worked briefly in the FCC and chaired the Human Rights Committee of the House of Reps when he was there. And then a senior advocate of Nigeria, Paul Lerokoro. They've actually limited, over almost at zero level, the possibility of the Supreme Court admitting any evidence, any fresh evidence at this stage. And maybe, I don't know how much of time we have, we can look at what Paul Lerokoro said. Because if actually,
let's go.
he actually, I mean, looked at the time frame and said,
well, electoral
To
matters.
Yes,
buttress
well,
what he has
electoral
been saying. Let's
Well,
see.
electoral matters.
So, he said the general rules is that additional evidence at the Supreme Court or any court of appeal is not encouraged at all. But that doesn't mean it is totally forbidden. However, the rules for admitting it are very stringent. The first is that such evidence is going to be extremely material to the resolution of the issues in the case. That is one of the orders to be caused. The second order is that such evidence could not have been procured during the trial at the trial court by reasonable diligence. So it is either the evidence was not available at the time
Yes.
of the trial, or it could not, by any kind of due diligence or any reasonable effort, be made available. For evidence to be admissible at the Supreme Court or in any court of appeal, it has to, at the very minimum, satisfy those two conditions. So we went ahead on whether there are provisions in the Constitution allowing party to tender additional evidence at the apex court. This was what they said. Most of these rules are case laws, and the Evidence Act does not specifically make these provisions. In the case of election petition, the Constitution requires that the proceeding be concluded within 180 days of the election tribunal, which, in the case of the presidential election, is the Court of Appeal. So the Court of Appeal, which may have power to admit additional evidence, cannot have any jurisdiction if the jurisdiction of the trial court has expired.
Yes.
And which it has. So it says, for instance, if a Court of Appeal has within 6 months to hear and conclude the presidential election matter, and the 6 months have expired, even if the Supreme Court wanted to admit an additional evidence, it doesn't seem to me that it will be able to admit such evidence after the expiration of that 6 months. It went further.
That is the point that we are making.
This is because it may not meet the jurisdictional requirement, which is that a court which has jurisdiction to do it will have the time to do it. So his conclusion is, see, all of these things will not be able to enter into the Supreme Court. Because what should have been done, the time has lapsed. And if you recollect at a point here, I said it that, say, most of these things are good for the records. So that in future years,
Academic exercise.
yes, people do not belabor the courts again. Look at what the president
They will
of the
still
court of
belabor the court.
That's the point I'm trying to
They
make.
want to collect money. abuse the process.
Look at what the president of the Court of Appeal said about the number of cases that they have.
Yes.
Even at
You
the
want to
Supreme
kill
Court.
them.
Yes.
Look, naturally, you will expect that after the Supreme Court ruled on alleged double registration by Kashim Shettima, you will expect that these
The
people,
lawyers will just
they will expunge it.
from their
They
prayer.
still went ahead
To put it.
to put it. The judges of the appeal court still had to debate and then decide on it. So what were you expecting? That they will overrule the Supreme Court? That the appeal court will overrule the Supreme Court? I mean, some of even the cases that they brought up that, somebody like 25%.
25% in Abuja.
Even that one had been dismissed at some point. That one had been dismissed.
Most of
but
the things are
they
really
will still
not
bring
a-
them back.
Because I pity the judges. Look at what happened when the presidential election court, for how many hours? And the same thing happened in Ogun.
And Lagos.
Over 12 hours. Lagos, the same. We shouldn't kill these people. Our lawyers, like Vicky said, they know a lot.
They know
of
the
these
truth.
things. They know it.
Look at the way Justice
Let
Sada
them
dealt
help
with
us.
Chris Uche now.
You know, let them
See the way he
help us.
dealt with Chris Uche. Chris Uche wrote the foreword to a book where he was saying whether a witness was subpoenaed or not, you must front load the witness's submission before the court. He didn't do that. The court just decided, okay, because you didn't do that, because that's the procedure, they dismissed the evidence by those witnesses, because you should have front loaded. That's the procedure. And you, even in the forward that you wrote, you said lawyers must do that. Now you come before the Supreme Court, you didn't do. Before the appeal court, you didn't do it. Someone was telling me that if this was UK, it would have been disbarred.
Can you imagine?
That thing that judge, Justice
back.
Ada, said, they will have punished him for it. That's a very senior person.
To have been
They
a
know these things. They will know these
counsel.
things, but they fail to do it. In fact, one of the judges also referred to a Ye Tayo Jagede. You know?
And he was there.
He was there. What you brought up during your own case in Ondo, you went against it.
Yeah.
At the appeal court. At the end of the day, you still say, oh, the judgment was against us. What are you expecting? What are you expecting?
It is what favors them part time.
The thing is, and I've read Perogi and some other people, many Nigerians are making comments. They don't even understand the American this thing. In America, it is the transcripts that they place accent on. Yep. If they give you a certificate, they call it the certificate diploma. If they give you and it gets lost in your hand, you go and print, it is not their problem. It is the transcript that they value like a certificate. You must not alter it, nothing must happen to it. Many employers of labor give people jobs based on their transcripts. They will ask for the transcript. They don't value what we call certificates.
Even when you want admission abroad, they demand for the transcript.
Yes.
It's the transcript.
Yes.
That's what they have.
If you, from Unilag here, you want to school abroad, you are not meant to be in possession of it.
I mean, you want
Unilag will send it to your intended school.
You want to do your master's outside the country.
Yes.
What they demand for
Yes, it's the transcript. They are not interested in your certificate. So the thing is, the Nigeria and America are different in terms of even what could actually be an offense in this jurisdiction may actually not be an offense over there. I think we've seen people who said they even printed their checkbooks. They printed their checkbook. As long as you have money there,
if you have money there,
any crime.
just write anything.
That's the way it is.
Acknowledge that.
And we've seen Abiola when Abiola was alive, even on mere sheet of paper, he will write and sign, and it will be acknowledged, they will pay you your money. So some of those things, some people are not aware of these things, but they want to be the expert, they want to argue on those things.
And your hatred for
I was, yes, I was listening to an argument about the deposition. There was no time where the guy discountenanced the certificate or said this certificate is fake. Nowhere. And they deliberately didn't ask him because they felt that if you ask him whether it was fake or not, and he gave a conclusive answer, it will be the end of their...
But the C came to misinterpret it.
Yes, you know, they know, and the position itself is not court judgment, because I'm seeing it. Some journalists are carrying it on their head as if it's judgment. You know, it's just somebody's opinion. It's not the man never said this is fake. He said it did not emanate from the court. That's what he said.
All right.
And if I give if I contract a vendor to print this thing for me, should I expect that the school will say that it came from them when it is a vendor and third-party people that are printing it? They've even said it from the get-go. They have said that, look, these things are just ceremonial in nature. All those certificates, those diplomas, that they are ceremonial in nature. It is the transcript, and that transcript bore the name of this person. Even the social security thing that they claimed that he was using somebody's, the school also came out to say, look, social security numbers are person-specific.
And the person that came out to say is a classmate of with the president, the school also confirmed that person.
Yes. And the social security thing actually belongs to him, not to anybody.
Yes.
That person even came to, that person was even born in 1971 or so. The person that they claimed he used
this.
Yes. So he couldn't have used the social security. So somebody who was born in 19...
Who not even have one yet.
Yes. When he left school 79. So...
All right. It's alarming to note that